Good evening and welcome to my midweek recap here for Apple and plan ahead for Thursday and Friday. A couple things to note. First of all, Apple's earnings are now in the past, coming up on the ex-dividend date, payout date, all that stuff. So price action will reflect that on that day. If you follow any of the news, I try not to follow too much news, but it's come out that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger both have admitted they would like to own larger stake in Apple. So even though I don't trade news, that's at least something to keep in the back of my mind and think about going forward. Now, price action has had a considerable gap up here, gap and go, a little bit of two-day consolidation here at the previous trend, which I've noted on my videos a couple of times. Gap above, and a massive run up here on Friday. Monday was kind of an indecision. Looked like it was going to be a rejection day. Did not follow through. Tuesday and now Wednesday have both reclaimed what looks like could be a potential top. I'm going to zoom out here on the time, or into the daily time frame. You can see there's a little bit of an upward trend line. Now, normally you could call that a resistance, but if you've taken any courses with me or worked with me in the past, an uptrending line above price is not a resistance. Consider it a price target. Although there will be sellers there, it is not a resistance. A resistance is in a downtrend. Now, to review some of the trades I've already taken, gotten out of, 22 June, 200 calls back here. I was in at 56, half out here at 90. The other half did take me out right here in between the 118 and 110 area on this break below VWAP. I was also in the 17 August 195 calls here, closed the remainder of those out here at 485. If you remember, I got in those around 107. So overall, some very, very nice trades there. Good profits. Now, as price action came up, broke below VWAP, I was immediately looking for sellers because look at the day that we did have on Monday. Hit VWAP, got into, I think it says 180 puts. Those were about 2 weeks out at 113. Added to it on this breakdown, it looked like it was going to continue and push down below the low of the day, the opening price, and fill this gap and come down much further. So I added into it for an average of 117. Turns out that was not the greatest idea because it kind of ruined my average and it didn't actually follow through on the next day. So on Tuesday, I did take out the position off at 142. The other half trailed me out just above the break even of my average. So decent trade there, a little bit of profit, nothing really to be too excited about, but it did work out fairly well. Later on in the day on Tuesday, price action, as you can see, broke above an inside candle here, reclaimed VWAP on a good move, very solid price action. Looked like it was going to break over these two upper wicks and create a little bit of a short squeeze. As it turns out, took half off here midway through the day at 88. Just got tired of seeing the price chop around and just patience got the best of me. The rest of it I did close at the end of the day at 107. There is a lot more room for Apple to potentially run. I'm going to zoom out here on a higher time frame. I do have an overall measured move from this day. This was Friday for a target of about 190. Now that is just above these Fibonacci levels. As you can see, they correspond with the daily time frame. I'm actually going to take those off of my trading time frame because it's just too much stuff going on. So you clear it up. It's a little bit easier to see what's going on, get a better feel for what price action is doing. If I zoom out a little bit further, it's much more evident what's going on. Price action has formed what looks like a shallow cup and handle type of formation. So on the open tomorrow, may chop around a little bit of a light volume on the open and push up higher. A cup and handle is a continuation pattern. It is not a reversal. It is not a topping pattern. And if we get price to break above this 187.67 level, which is the high of Monday, probably going to have a nice little short squeeze and it should easily, in my opinion, hit 190, maybe even a little bit higher, who knows. But this kind of price action, when it just keeps running and running and running, have to think who's buying. It's not just retail, it's most likely going to be big accounts, big money. They don't care so much about risk to reward. They simply want to get in for a bigger run up. Maybe they're getting in for the special dividend, who knows. But price action is back to being very, very bullish here for Apple. May have some slight dips here in the future, which will most likely be bought up by those people that are scared to go ahead and chase the price way up here. For me, trading momentum, I am absolutely not scared to buy highs with the expectation it is going to go higher. With that in mind, and since I'm out of my positions, I will take a position in some 190 calls. Actually, I thought I put a note on here, but I will be looking for 190 calls plus 2 weeks. Again, just above that Fibonacci level of 187.70. So basically just above today's high and Monday's high. Should be a nice little pop for a couple of dollar gain. If it pulls back in, which it is possible, I will look for 180 calls at the blue line, which is the 8 EMA on the daily time frame. 180 calls 2 weeks out. The yellow line and the red lines down here are very close together, the 21 EMA and the 50 SMA. I will look for about 175 calls about 2 weeks out. I actually don't need this note on here. I will also be looking for a 200 SMA if it does touch way down there, which is, again, not too likely, but it is absolutely possible. I will look for 167.5 calls about 2 weeks out. So that would be my trade plan for Apple going forward. Target for the trade, if it does break out right here, will be around 190. I will look to see what price action does there. Ideally, we'll come up here, bounce around a little bit, and push up higher for an opportunity to maybe even add into the position or create another swing. So that's going to be my trade plan. Have a good evening and good luck.